All right, good day, everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar today and welcome. You may be watching from the comfort of your couch at home or uncomfortable at the office desk, but welcome one and all. I'm Nikita Nachnani and I have Siddharth Panjwani with me here today from Engati. He is my wonderful boss and mentor. Known company-wide as Sid, and has done a majority of the heavy lifting when it comes to creating the real estate bot and integrating it with ChatGPT. So say hi and smile. Sid.
Hi guys, thank you Nikita for the kind introduction, and thank you guys for having us.
So what we're going to focus on today's webinar is our favorite industry and your favorite industry, right? Real estate. And what we hope to focus on in particular is real estate marketing and touch upon as well, because ultimately the two go hand in hand. Now, we've spent the better part of 6 months talking to about 50, 60 players in the industry, just listening and absorbing the problems that they face every day in and day out, right, Sid?
Yeah, give or take about 6 months.
And I mean, before we get into any of that, let's quickly stop at ChatGPT. Right? ChatGPT is incredibly hot right now. It is the buzzword that's floating around in the market. If you haven't played with it, let me tell you, the possibilities are endless. ChatGPT can create content for you, educate you. It can even pick out stocks better than your broker or your fund manager, right?
Yeah, so generative AI is kind of like the buzzword these days, right? It's the top of the minds for C-suites across the world. What is the future of work? What is it that ChatGPT can do? And like you rightly said, the potential, the possibilities are endless for ChatGPT.
Right. So at this point, I mean, you may be thinking, it's generative, right? It's generic too. So how can ChatGPT work for me? How can I tune it to my business, to real estate as a whole? And we'll get into that later on today. So there's something for you to look forward to in the webinar. But before we dive into anything, before we even get to the problems, we want to ask you one simple question. Why are you here today? Why do you think? What we came up with, what we think the answer is to sell more, sell faster at a fraction of the cost. Now, let me say that again and say it with me. Sell more, sell faster at a fraction of the cost. So Sid, what do you think, I mean, from all the conversations you've had so far, are the major pain points in the industry?
So I would actually love to hear from the audience on what they think has their biggest pain point been, right? And feel free, guys, to post it in the chat. What you think has been your biggest problem, your biggest pain point as part of sales and marketing in real estate. It's an extremely competitive industry. Everybody wants an edge. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you directly, because I mean, it would confirm the work that we've put into the last 6 months, right, Sid?
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of answers coming in. Come on, guys. I mean, you must know, what do you struggle with day in and day out? How can we help you? How can chatbots, how can automation help you?
So the message that has come in is kind of aligns to what we have discovered from you fine folks as well, from the conversations that we have had with you over the last 6 months. To us, our understanding from having spoken to you, your biggest pain point is lead generation, right? We are talking about which is the right target audience, right? Which is the audience to go after when I am selling my inventory. And we are talking about, see, it's a competitive industry. It probably takes thousands of hours to sell to make one closure. And the kind of databases that you guys have to use would probably run into six figures. And please be honest with yourself. If your database is anything less than six figures, we should really question, are we doing this correct? Are we in the right industry?
Sid, I think you're scaring them a little bit. Don't worry, if you haven't built out your database yet, there's something here for you. We will guide you through that as well. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break down the how, right? We're going to structure this and simplify this for you by answering three basic questions: why, how, and what. So we've covered the why. Let's get to the what, right? How do you first generate interest? How do you create that buzz? And then if there are interested parties, how do you capture that intent? How do you move that going forward? How do you, if someone is interested in your property, how do you get that affirmation that of interest and of intent to buy? And then finally, everything is leading up to your closure. How do I get them to close and finish the deal?
So what you're talking about, Nikita, is essentially how do I create interest, right? How do I generate interest? Now, you have a budget for running your marketing campaigns, right? You could be running digital marketing campaigns. You could be running print campaigns. You could be running traditional methods. You could be running new age methods, right? You really have to ask yourself how effective those ad dollars spent are. Now, I personally get probably 8 or 10 phone calls on a daily basis about some new property launches. I get emails on property launches as well. I get SMSs on property launches as well. But let me ask you this. How many times have you really responded or looked at an SMS message? How many times have you really looked at email messages? Right? Don't you get frustrated at the end of the day if you get 8 phone calls trying to hard sell you to get you to visit a particular site? It's frustrating, right?
Yeah, I think the strategy so far has been just a carpet bomb, right? I'm going to send or I'm going to cold call as many people as possible and hope that at least one generates a little bit of interest. But what happens nowadays is, and not to throw numbers at you, but emails has less than 5% of an open rate, right? SMS, very low. I mean, be honest, when was the last time you checked your messages for anything other than two-factor authentication? And then we have calls, which are less than 10% effective. And then you run into the danger of calling at the wrong time and losing that prospect and losing an interested buyer. So what we're trying to lead you towards is to choose a channel with a fantastic open rate, right? And that kind of leads us to WhatsApp. Now, again, to throw some numbers at you, there are 2.3 billion users on WhatsApp globally. On average, they open WhatsApp 23 times a day, all leading to a 98% open rate. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, let that number sink in. I mean, look at the kind of reach of this channel that we are talking about. Right?
Yeah, and it's always available for you as well. So you can run your campaigns, you can run your digital marketing all through your channel of choice.
Yeah. But let me ask you this, Nikita. Where does your generation spend most of its time these days? Which channel?
Oh, Instagram. Instagram for sure.
It's an amazingly visual channel, isn't it? The platform was built for displaying images. Right? We're talking about images here, we're talking about real estate. Imagine the possibilities, right? You want to showcase your dream homes using pictures. You have got a channel just to do that. So it's not just WhatsApp, it could be Instagram, it could be voice, it could be any digital channel which is where the shift is happening these days. We're looking at multi-channel here. We are looking at always on intelligence, and then we are looking at consolidating all this information, all this intelligence in a one view inbox.
So any channel of your choice, you get to see it in one place and respond real time, whether it's the bot itself or your very human agent.
Exactly. And that is the kind of, you could say, arrow in the quiver that you are looking at when you want to kind of move the needle for your effectiveness.
Right, but I mean, you've generated interest now, right? How do you capture the intent? I guess a lot of ads kind of lead nowhere. How do you capture very interested buyers who click on your ad? Now, there is a way to do that, where if you click on the ad, your customer can chat with a very lifelike, human-like bot that can give them any information they want and answer any question they might have. And it doesn't just stop there. I mean, ChatGPT, like we mentioned before, is incredibly powerful now. So with a GPT-powered chat like Engati, all you need to do is upload a brochure or your website, and any question a customer has can be answered intelligently and even more lifelike than before.
So let me give you an analogy here. We say that 90% of communication is nonverbal, right? Body language probably communicates more than words. And with that analogy, as I am communicating with anybody, I am signaling intent. If I am a prospect, and let's say that I'm asking about a 1,000 square feet apartment, right? It tells both parties what the intention is, right? As a salesperson, it tells you what the client is looking for. It helps you profile your prospect. That is what we are looking at here. That is the kind of intelligence that we are looking to capture as a part of these conversations, as a part of the journey that people are taking with you.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not just about collecting that data, right? It's also not allowing that data to leak through whatever cracks you may have in your process right now. I mean, let me share a story with you. I was looking for an apartment to rent out while I was in college from India and looking for an apartment in the United States. Right. So my first problem obviously was the time difference. I'd message here in the morning, but it would be 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night over there outside their business hours. And I mean, I'm a product of my generation. I grew up in the digital age. If I have to spend more than 30 seconds and I don't get a reply, I'm going to move on to the next opportunity, you know?
Yeah, I mean, see, I'll tell you, my generation was thrilled with overnight delivery, whereas with your generation, it's DoorDash, it's 10-minute deliveries, not enough, right? It's Zepto, I want stuff now. I want information right now. And let's be honest, as a part of the process of, say, either buying or selling real estate, it takes a village, right? It's not just an individual effort. It takes your entire family is involved. Typically do not engage in it as a part of your regular office hours. It typically happens as a part of a dinner time conversation over the weekends, outside working hours. So we are looking at something that would kind of answer questions that I have 24/7, something which is always on. Right. And that is basically automation that we are looking at. That is essentially some sort of an assistant, a chatbot that we are talking about here, and essentially something that Engati it helps you get there.
I mean, but you don't want them to be stuck in that question answering phase as well, because that tends to get repetitive, and you want to move them along in the process and get them one step closer to buying your property. So the ultimate goal that we've understood is scheduling a site visit, right, Sid?
Yeah. So if you're in the sales process, you are essentially displaying your wares. You are displaying your inventory, and just having a Q&A session give and take of information is not sufficient, right? The motivation, what you're measured against is if you can get somebody to visit your site, right? And what we are looking at here, it's an economic problem, right? I mean, you probably have to make phone calls to, I don't know, 100 calls to get somebody to visit your site. And from there, you would be able to kind of take it forward as an exercise to closure, right? Your main activity begins when the individual visits your site.
Right. So it ties in perfectly to faster and a fraction of the cost because all of that is automated for you. And you're constantly engaging with your prospect to make sure that that relationship is set up. So you can push for a site visit. You can constantly nudge them towards one step closer to finally selling it.
Yeah, let me offer another analogy here. So when we do business, we talk about making it easy for money to come in and making it difficult for money to go hard. But when you're on sales, essentially what you're talking about is making it as easy as possible for your prospects to be able to reach you, making it as frictionless as possible. So if we have wrinkles in the process of setting up a site visit, we are essentially delaying that process, right? What we are saying is it can be seamless. It can be just a one-click experience that you can offer to your client to schedule a site visit.
I mean, and say everything goes exactly the way you want it to. Ideal scenario, you get that person to your site and finally close the deal, right? But it doesn't just stop there. I mean, we've constantly reiterated this being a long-term relationship that you have with your client. So there is a certain amount of post-sale support that's required.
Yeah, so let's say that you have gotten your prospects to visit you at your site. That is where the human element takes over, right? That is where handholding is required. You're looking at the negotiation phase here. And this requires, now let's be honest, very seldom do people just show up at a project launch and say that, hey, I want to buy this property overnight. It is typically a 3 to 6 month process. It requires relationship management. It requires nurturing. And it requires people to hold on to that conversation over an extended time frame, right? And understand the mindset of the buyer as well. It is, hey, I don't need just the apartment, but I also am interested in all the associated information that is available. What are the amenities? What are the schools close by? What are the markets close by? So that is where the dance starts, essentially, right? When you're trying to close the deal and negotiate. Now, look, also, this is the biggest purchase that a buyer is actually making in their lifetimes, right? For most of us. And I'm talking about the 98% of us who fall in that category, where buying real estate is essentially the most expensive transaction they do in their lifetimes. So what they're looking for here is an experience, right? It's not just the closure. You cannot be done with closure and walk away these days. It's also the sales support that is involved here.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Sid. And, for those that might be thinking that this industry is so customer centric, how can I possibly pass that on to a bot or pass that on to technology to take care of instead? I mean, not only is this kind of technology and this trend that's coming up more intelligent and more lifelike than ever before, but you also have the option of seamlessly handing it off to your agent to deal with complex queries or to deal with that relationship and move it forward.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at scale here, right? I just threw a number earlier, 300 apartments need to be sold, right? And it probably takes about 100 conversations to get somebody to visit your property. And it probably takes about, say, 20 site visits before you get one closure. Imagine the number of touch points in this journey, right? Imagine the number of times that you have to do this. So what we're looking at here is scale. right? And that is possible only with automation. That is possible only with technology. And Engati is in a position to offer you something like that.
Right. So now that we've covered every step in the process of how, let's get to the heart of the matter, the what. Let's show you what some of the big players in the industry have already started implementing as solutions and where real estate is headed towards.
So what I would encourage is, like we said, we are going to talk about the what here, right? We have covered the why, we have covered the how. Now, when it comes to what we will encourage you to actually go ahead and scan the QR codes and actually try it out on your own while we show it to you on the screens as well. Allow me to share my screen.
So you can go ahead and interact with the bot a little bit, see the different flows, see exactly what is possible, what you can implement today at the touch of your fingertips, right?
Yeah. So as we are looking at what, let me humble brag a little bit here about some of the names that use this as one of the techniques as one of the arrows in the quiver. Now we're looking at one of the most reputed names in the Asian real estate market. This group is extremely popular for the quality of their design, and I wish I could afford their properties. I guess I'm talking about Hiranandani here. So it's a very well-known name in India as well as Middle East. And let me show you one of the ways that they leverage automation, right? So I'm just going to send a message. And as a part of the conversation, I can select multiple options. So I'm going to select apartments that I want to see. And look at the experience here. I can get a glimpse. This is like a dopamine effect, right? I mean, hey, I'm attracted to this conversation right away because of the kind of properties that are being shown to me. Look at the visuals, right? It's a creative way to hook me on. Now, we were talking about information on tap. I want the information right now. I can find out the apartment configuration.
And Sid, is all of this kind of stored in real time?
Exactly. Everything that I am doing as a part of the journey gets captured. So I am profiling myself as a part of the journey. I'm sending signals while I'm making a selection. Now, I probably can afford only a 2 BHK. It is 1437 square feet. I'm sending a signal here that I'm interested in a 2 BHK apartment. I can actually click, look at the details, download it, forward it. I can also schedule a site visit right here. Let's see. Now, this is the frictionless experience that we are talking about. Now, today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, tomorrow is probably a better way. I don't know. It's Friday. Who works on Friday? So, okay, I'm scheduling myself for a site visit tomorrow. And then let's call it 2 p.m. There you go. I have scheduled a site visit. And not only that, I will start getting reminders as and when this appointment comes close to the time.
Right? So you've got your interest, you've got your intent captured, you've got the affirmation. I mean, you already scheduled a site visit. Now all that's left is the confirmation.
Exactly. So look, you can do a lot of things to kind of increase conversions here, right? You can put in stuff in the meantime, which will engage me till I make my site visit. If it's not, say tomorrow, if I were to schedule it, say the week after, I would start getting automated messages, making sure that I'm engaged, making sure that it is staying top of mind. Look, the possibilities are endless, right? Why don't we just take a moment here and explore some of the other options. So we selected apartments, and we selected, we can even see a video, right? Now, this is where we are talking about so lead qualification, right? We can segment the population, the audience, right, based on the data that we are collecting and personalize this messaging to them. I can offer 360-degree virtual tours using a video, using other techniques. People can experience being and seeing the apartment right from the comfort of the sofas.
So Sid, are you saying that you can segment users based on how they're interacting with the bot too, what they're selecting?
Exactly. Right. So this is essentially an intelligence gathering operation. We are profiling our prospects into the right buckets, and then we are personalizing our conversations with them. Everything with a single motivation of increasing chances of success.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we saw a video. Now let's see what else is there. Okay, I don't want to see 3 BHK. I can even send directions to my property. Not only that, we can even do real-time, say, geolocation-based approaches. Now, we spoke about how the human element is also important. Right? As a part of the conversation, I might feel a need, hey, I need to talk to somebody who is human. I don't want to interact with a bot. And that is where we have live chat as one of the options. If you are doing this outside business hours, like now, yeah, you can still rely on a bot, but inside business hours or depending on your team, you can have an operation where live chat agents can seamlessly take over the conversation and can pick up the thread from there. Not only that, you will be capturing the context of the previous conversation as well as any conversations that follow across channels, across time zones. That is what we are looking at.
Oh, wow. It looks like someone joined too.
Yeah. So I can ask a question and I can have a human answer me right then and there. So this is what we are talking about. Now, it's not just Hiranandani which is doing this, right? Some of the other names that we have that are looking at this as a solution to their problems. Now we have Danube Properties, which is amongst the most reputed developers in the Middle East, in the UAE. They use the same solution. We have agents like Allegiance Real Estate. You could be a national level player, you could be an international player, you could be an agent, or you could be a channel partner. Your pain points are essentially the same. It is about you need to get the inventory off your books. And those are essentially the use cases that we have spent time understanding from you over the last 6 months and have created a template around, which is exactly what we are showing you right now.
So a package solution ready to go.
Exactly. It's an out-of-the-box automated solution. Now, we were talking about Instagram earlier, and allow me to show you how this experience would look like on Instagram. So I can get the same experience. Now, your generation, which is spending time on Instagram, would rather look at the images directly. Me, as a marketer of real estate, or as someone who's involved in real estate sales, will start showing these images directly on Instagram, creating reels out of them, and so on and so forth. And that experience will flow right here. I will have the same experience. I can send a message, hi, and I can initiate a conversation which is automated to the bot right then and there.
And a great channel for lead generation too. I mean, you capture the same kind of data on any channel you want, basically.
We are agnostic of a channel. Right? So we get the same experience. Allow me to share my screen again here. And we spoke about ChatGPT. Let's see the magic of ChatGPT in front of us. So what we have done is we have trained ChatGPT using our proprietary information. So I am, let's say that I am a channel partner and I have inventory across a number of suburbs. Now we are in Mumbai, so I'm going to use this in the context of Mumbai. We have inventory across a number of suburbs. And we have created a document which we can upload into ChatGPT and let it do its magic. There's just one click that is involved in getting to here. So I'm going to ask an intelligent question. What is, oh, hold on, is this? What is there you go. ChatGPT has taken my document, understood it, interpreted it, and is now intelligently answering me questions. So think of the possibilities. It is limitless. Like the potential is limitless to where we can take this. And especially in a document heavy industry like real estate, right? You could have, let's say that you are in the contract signing phase. Let's say that there are some clauses that you have questions about. So you can give it to ChatGPT, and we're not even talking about making this public. This is your IP. This is you own the data here. Think about, hey, you have frequently get questions about, okay, what is the price or of a particular configuration or at a particular floor? Just have to create a document, give it to ChatGPT, and it will summarize, generate on responses for you. That is the level that we are looking at here. And imagine the kind of efficiencies and effectiveness that you can bring in using ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean, you're training faster, you're responding faster, everything is at high speed.
Exactly. So this is essentially when we are looking at the, let me stop sharing here.
Right. So thanks, Sid. I mean, I guess you've given us a little bit or a fraction of the possibilities that are in the industry right now, where it's headed and what some of the biggest players have already implemented, right? So we have Hiranandani, we have Daniel Properties, and these are just developers, but you've got your channel partners, you've got your agencies, you've got your digital marketing agencies. Can virtually be used by anyone and everyone in the industry to get the same results at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So now we know real estate is an incredibly competitive industry, right? If this was a race, the hare wins, the tortoise loses, and you're looking for every possible edge that you can get in the industry. So join us, join the revolution that we've started. Schedule a demo as soon as possible, and we are here to help you out.
There is also an exclusive list of resources which we have actually packaged for you for the attendees of the webinar. Feel free to scan your QR codes right now, download it. Feel free to try the bot. You can also visit the URL which was shown in the previous screen. Try it firsthand.
And when we say it's exclusive for people who attended today and stuck towards the end. Thank you very much for joining us in here today. Now with that, we want to open it up to our favorite part of the webinar, which is the Q&A section. Right? We want to interact with you. We want to hear what are your specific problems or any question that you've had so far that we can kind of help you out with. So feel free to reach out, please.
I'm looking at the questions which have already been sent while some of the other participants participate in the Q&A. So the first question is, for long-term relationships with clients, how can chatbots and automation assist in post-sales support and maintaining customer engagement? And I'll be brutally honest here. Post-sales in real estate is essentially, hey, if I'm a buyer of a property, as soon as I make the payment, the thing that comes to my mind is, hey, it's not perfect. There are a lot of complaints, right? There could be leakages which I was not aware of. The quality of construction could be bad. Something is not up to the mark. But when it still comes to post sales, there has to be a channel which is open for feedback, and that is exactly what we are looking at here. Even before I make the payment. So let's say that, hey, I am going to get possession of my property in say 3 years. I am making the payments as the time goes by. I would love to find out what is the payment amount due, right? So the sale has been made. I am in the process of actually paying for this. So this is what we are looking at from a post-sales perspective. We have payment updates as one of the use cases. You could have possession updates, status of the possession. And not only that, if depending on your business model, right, you could even look at it from, say, hey, what is it that you require in terms of maintenance once you have taken possession of the property?
Right. Thank you for that, Sid. I think we should pick up a question that was asked at the beginning of the webinar today from Lenovo. People fill up the form, but they won't buy. So this is his problem statement that he shared with us today.
Well, so let me answer this in the spirit of, do you, so this is like, hey, you are introducing CTAs, right? People fill the form, but they are not buying. Now, the question that you have to ask yourself is, are you effectively reaching your audience that you would like to reach out to? Right? This is like, okay, I am probably adding a shoe in my cart at Amazon, but I'm not really purchasing the shoe because actually I'm not interested. Right? So this again is a lead generation problem where what you would require is priming. Now, it's like, hey, you're watching a billboard over a period of 6 months, and only then do you go ahead and decide to buy this property.
Yeah, I mean, and another common solution we've seen to this is kind of just automated reminders too. You're capturing the data of people who fill up the form. So they're already in your database, right? It just then gets to how you're engaging with them. How can you increase their interest from where it currently is, which is keep providing them resources, and that can be automated for you as well.
Yeah, so again, look, and Nikita, you have mentioned this before. Look, your generation needs to be engaged. If you just fill a form, you essentially lose interest because you have moved on from that point in time to some other point in time. It's about engagement, right? Hey, you need to be, your mind share needs to be able to focus away from all the diverse, you could say, distractions that you have in your life. And it is only when you have a conversation that I will actually break my inertia and then take the next.
Yes. So thank you, Sid. I hope we answered your question, Lenovo. Let's get on to the next one. I see a question here asking, how can GPT automate the sales flow, and how can I make the sales process more effective? That's interesting.
So when we are looking at GPT, here it is whatever information that you would love for GPT to answer, right? It is an extremely flexible model. You can have it answer numbers. You can have it answer in terms of generating content, right? This is as a part of the conversation that GPT is actually servicing your prospect with. it is depending on it all depends on what you want to use GPT for. If you wanted to look, to answer questions on prices, sure, that's what you feed ChatGPT. If you wanted to answer questions on configuration, that's what you feed ChatGPT. If you wanted to answer questions on, say, floor plans, that's the input for your ChatGPT.
So yeah, to kind of summarize and put it simply, is a chatbot in itself is your ultimate digital assistant, right? It takes care of all the repetitive and manual labor that you're tired of doing. And ChatGPT functions the same way, but does it much more intelligently, makes you question whether it's a bot or a human on the other end. You can virtually train it painlessly on anything and, let it do the work for you.
So again, it's an economic problem here, right? You are trying to bring in as much automation as close to human-like experiences as possible without the need to get humans involved. So it is a numbers problem. It is an economic problem that you're trying to solve.
Right. I think, so I hope that answered your question. We can pick one last question before we end this webinar for today. Okay, I think I saw one more. What are the benefits of automated scheduling for property visits, and how can it improve the efficiency of sales teams?
So automated scheduling is effectively a part of the intent and interest, right? I am willing to signal that, hey, I want to visit a property if I'm interested in that property. That means I'm taking time off from my precious work, non-working or working hours, precious time away from my couch, and actually making that move. Now, in order to do that, if I have the most pleasant experience to get me there, you are trying to basically make it as easy, remove as many barriers as possible, right? So when you think about it, when you go to Amazon, the buy button placement is thought through in terms of, hey, where is my eye level going to be? It wants to make it as easy for you to hit the buy button as possible. It's the same spirit that we are talking about. You want to make it as easy to schedule an appointment for a site visit as possible.
Right. I mean, usually it takes either a phone call or maybe multiple clicks on a website to get to a place where you can book an appointment. Whereas when you automate it and it's on your bot, your entire solution, your entire customer engagement is all in one place.
I think you had alluded to this earlier, but let me reiterate. So when you make a phone call, it's a very obtrusive type of marketing, right? Here, what you're doing is you're actually giving the power or the perception of power to your prospects. They get to decide when they want to schedule a site visit, right? So you're putting them on a pedestal, you're making them feel good about it. Hey, I am initiating a conversation instead of somebody calling you 8 times in the day and you getting hassle about it.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a nuisance at the end of the day. So I guess with that, we're going to end today's webinar. Thank you very much for attending. Feel free to reach out to me or Sid on LinkedIn. We've shared our emails and everything. We will share it with you. And feel free to reach out to Engati itself for any questions that you may have on automation and chatbots. Schedule a demo, get your solution ready for you right now. So thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.